teams, just because the standard in the Premier League is just in the bottom half is higher than the bottom half of other leagues.
But I wonder why players like like why Lukaku to Palace. Like, well, those are older players, I guess, but like even like for younger players, right? Longstaff to United, but loaned back to Newcastle, kind of thing.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's interesting. That you're right, though. That happens a lot more in Spain. In Spain, you see a lot of these players loaned to top. Let's see. Yeah, Jesus Vallejo plays for Wolves. He's a good little center back there.
Yeah, he started last week because Bali was suspended from his record.
Right.
And
of all the
Wolves were
loanees.
Actually in shambles. Like they gave up 3 goals in the first 30 minutes, and it was just
God. At least they're not Watford, right?
At least they have an excuse.
Yeah, Watford City this week. What are we tripling up?
Of
attack.
Of all Real Madrid's loanees, only one of those loanees plays in a second-tier league, and that's Zidane's son, Lucas Zidane, who's a goalkeeper, plays in second division for Racing.
I love how you get the accent in there.
Slip it right in when you're not expecting it.
So we want to get started here?
Yeah,
hopefully
let's do this.
About an hour. I'm gonna try to get us in and out in an hour here.
Yeah, we can be pretty fast here. We don't have a lot of talking points other than I assume the general mood of the pod will be don't panic.
That and it's kind of like a week of paradox for me. We can get into it. Let's do it. Let's do it and.
Hello, thank you for joining us today on the FPL Roundtable, where the extremes of stupidity meet genius. And today we've got 2 of the geniuses here. I'll play the role of the extreme of stupidity here. We have Casey and Gabe, and myself. I'm Steven. You can find me at 6goal. Let's say hi to Casey. Casey, what's going on today, Doctor?
Well,
Dr. FPL.
Yeah, no, I'm not Dr. FPL.
Dr. Wildcard?
I'm definitely in remedial FPL right now.
Well, that's good, remedial, because we do have a teacher right next to you in Gabe. So,
I actually, a funny story. When I got one of my kind of more important as far as my career goes, teaching gigs, it was all the misfits of the school that got me hired. It was these students that just basically gave another teacher a nervous breakdown and then went to the administration and appealed for them to hire me, and they did. So, I shine best in the remedial class.
Well, good. Hopefully you shined this week in game week 5 out of the international break. We may as well just hit the ground running here with how our game week 5 was. I'll start off since I know I had the best week of all of us, scoring 57 on a week that averaged just 52 points. Double move out of the break with Haller and Abraham coming in. So Abraham coupled with Pookie, 28 points. Mount, Salah in my midfield, they did a majority of the points for me, 57. Green Arrow, I'm up to 810K and feeling pretty confident heading into game week 6. Casey, how'd you do?
48 points, kind of I think it's the second captain blank or third captain blank in 5 weeks that I've had, and I definitely haven't gotten the Salah versus Sterling captaincy right once, which I think a lot of people have had the same issue with. Cantwell first on the bench and the KDB 1-pointer keeping him on there. So I mean, I was never going to start Cantwell versus City, but I'm glad I started Pookie. And I don't think I'll be benching him at all this season.
Yeah, the way he's going, I see no reason to have even heard talk of tripling up on Norwich City.
I mean, is he a captaincy option? That's the.
He's got to be.
You got to start thinking. He's got to be. Why not captain him?
No.
Yeah,
but I guess we really don't know who to captain him against because his best returns are still against the the better team. It's almost Vardy-esque where it's like, oh yeah, his best returns are against the better teams, and then he blanks against West Ham, and it's like, well, maybe he needs the space. I don't know. Anyways, it was a pretty ho-hum, small-ish red arrow. I'm still kind of just hovering right at around 1 million and hoping that I can get 1 or 2 good weeks to kickstart my season. So we'll see. I rolled the transfer through the international break too, which is tough to do. 2 weeks, no transfers. I didn't know what to do. That was the problem. And then I didn't have a good week. So, but now I have bigger problems.
Yeah, it seemed like anything I wanted to do wasn't going to help the team. So it's like, you know what? When all else fails, just hold the transfer and roll it and see where you come out on the other side. Gabe
and Garth wild-carded.
Yeah. So it's the opposite of Casey, the opposite of holding the transfer. I wild-carded, ended up with a 48. So second game week, second red arrow in a row, second game week below average, but only very slightly below average, to be honest. I have zero panic. I love my team. I think I'm really well set up. I feel really confident. And I'm looking I've seen a difference this year so far from last year. So this week was my lowest game score of 48. My second lowest was 49. And I still got a green arrow with that 49 in game week 2 when it was a very low scoring game week. I feel like last year it was very much, I had five game weeks of 100 plus. But I also had, I don't know, about four
game weeks over 100. That's impressive.
5.
I
think I had like 4 game weeks under 40.
Well, see, and that's funny because that's where we start talking about that, that
exactly.
even keel, hitting that 60 points and maintaining that consistently throughout the year, not having that peak, like you said, the 5 weeks with 100 points, but conversely, those 4 or 5 weeks where you're scoring 30 or 40 points and, basically undoing that 100-point week. But anyways.
Exactly. And I think I kind of because I know that was your strategy, Stephen. I think that rubbed off on me a little bit so far. I'm looking at my points and I'm spread between 48 and 83, where points have kind of fluctuated from week to week. So I don't know. I feel good and solid about where my team is at the moment. I don't feel like I have to make any transfers really. Nothing is rushed, so I'm rolling my transfer quite comfortably. And I have to say that the player that I'm happiest I got off of my wild card is Aubameyang. He banged 13 this past week. I knew I should have captained him. I did not have the cojones to do it. I will do so this week though. So
good job, Troy Deeney. Good job, Troy Deeney. Glad you had the cojones this week.
Exactly.
You're welcome, Gabe.
I was considering Aubameyang, but as I was telling Casey before we started here, I decided to go for the 2-for-1 and bring in Sub Haller and Tammy Abraham, figuring 2's better than 1, and shifted the formation to a 3-4-3. But I think people, especially with Lacazette out, I think if you've brought Aubameyang in, he's going to be in the middle. So yeah, he should definitely shine here in the coming weeks. So let's actually start defensively. There's been quite a bit of talk. 5 at the back is dead, but there's also talk about big at the back. Now there is a difference. Obviously, big at the back does not mean 5 at the back. I see you guys still have some big defenders in terms of price. Lucas Digne is still there. What is he? 6.1. Alexander Arnold. You guys both carry him. Your thoughts on keeping, I'm sorry, Casey, you also have Robertson, so you're still doubled up. And Otamendi's what, 5'5"? Or is he
5'4"? I got him at
5'4". Okay. But I mean, looking at those defenders who are 6 and above, are you going to stay on them with the lack of clean sheets? But I think it's 2 more clean sheets after 5 weeks this season than it was last season, 25 versus 23. And Gabe, I know you made a pretty little spreadsheet type graph that has hit Twitter that was pretty cool to look at.
It was a graph and it was little. I don't know if it was pretty. It's my first attempt. I
thought it came off well.
I think it looks fine.
All right. Yes. Nice. Cool. So yes, I'll take that. I did, and honestly, I just wanted to get other people's opinions of it. And unfortunately, I haven't had the time to post like an update to it. I think it needs some clarification, but it does show that. And so this is a graph that that I posted from showing kind of like a offensive and defensive output from 2014, August and September 2014 to 2019. And you see in 2019 there was pardon me, an average goals per game of 3.08. That's actually higher than some of the other years where you have 2018 was 2.8, 2017 was 2.5, 2016 was 2.9. So it's close to that 2016 year. I think 2019 is comparable to, if we go back, it's comparable to the 2016 year. The XG is a little higher this year. But when we go back to the data here, there's kind of there's this explanation why it's so high excuse me, this year, and it really has to do with September. In September of 2019, let's see, we've only had 5 clean sheets, and that's way down from any other year. But in August, we had 18 clean sheets. In 2018, in August, we had 16 clean sheets. So actually, last year we had less clean sheets in August than we did, or we had just barely less clean sheets in August than we did this year. Yet there's this whole narrative that big at the back is gone. So I just wanted to explore that a little bit. If we look at goals per game, and this is the biggest outlier. In August of 2019, goals per game was 2.74. Just for reference, last year was 2.97. So last year there were more goals scored per game in August than this year. However, in September, this last year was 2.74, so the same amount as August this year was. September last year was the same amount as August this year, but September this year, the goals per game skyrockets to 3.42. And that's really, for me, the stat that is an outlier in all of this data. So I see that as an anomaly, and I think that we have some regression coming. And once that regression hits, in my opinion, and I think this was brought up by somebody that commented on Twitter, the medium price forwards will probably regress, statistically regress, while the premiumly priced defenders will positively regress. So in other words, their clean sheets and their FPL points are going to start to pick up. Statistically, they should start picking up, and statistically, the medium price forwards should start coming back, which is why I'm in a form, which is why kind of it validates my wild card. I'm in a 3-5-2-4-4-2 formation, which I get the 2 up top. I have a kind of like a rotation at the back, and I feel like I'm in a good middle spot there. But I think going too far, like maybe big 5 at the back or a medium to big 3 up front, is taking it a little bit too far.
Any thoughts, Casey?
No, I think that's definitely what I would expect as well, to see some sort of regression back to the mean in the long term. But in the short term, I think, the form is a real thing. Confidence is a real thing, especially for goal scorers and forwards. So I think in the short term, these goals will keep up for at least some of these medium price forwards, and there's so many of them that I've been very light at the top. I just have had Pookie up front, and then 2-4-5s. So I think the flexibility of having 2 forwards and having the ability to move, but I agree that you don't want to put 35 million into your forward line or something like that, and have a bunch of 4-5 defenders. That just seems like overreaction. But the other side of that coin is I still think Liverpool is the best defense in the league.
Yes, here we go.
And I'm
It's
not
gonna be a fun one.
But their short-term fixtures are difficult. They play 3 of the top 6 in the next 5 matches. And, they still don't have their first choice goalkeeper. And the other best defense is City, and they only have one fit center back. So in the short term,
Fernandinho.
Yeah, exactly. They basically have a bar bouncer and Fernandinho at center back.
Exactly.
And so I think in the short term, I do want to shift money forward, and I do think it is smart to move money out of your back line, maybe not carelessly, but I do think that having 3 or 4 premium defenders like I have currently, I have 4 premium defenders, is just a little bit too much, and it doesn't allow me enough flexibility in the attack, especially to hop on some of these mid-price players in both the midfield and the forward kind of region. So long term, I think at the end of the year, we'll probably look back and say that it's probably not going to be an extremely attacking year compared to how extreme this September was. But in the short to medium term, I just don't see any reason that these trends are going to at least somewhat keep up. Maybe these forwards won't quite keep outscoring their XG by how much they are, but okay, so what if Pukki only gets 2 goals every 3 games as opposed to 4 goals every 3 games? That's still pretty good. So, and Steven will regress to the mean of being level on this earth at some point.
One day, Steven will master the art of balancing a webcam on a pool cue ball.
It's getting that way, yes.
It's amazing. He'll be balancing like river rocks and stacking them on top of each other in some like Zen garden.
Yes, that's awesome.
No more.
You're gonna be meditating with like the webcam
during an
earthquake on your toe or something like that.
It'll be like the big earthquake will hit, and Steven will be balancing friggin' webcams.
All right, well, I'm done with big at the back. I'm not gonna buy into it. 5-5 is the best I have.
Ever again.
I'm not gonna say ever again.
And he's dead.
You better not say ever again.
No, if things change, obviously I will go back to big at the back. But right now, you got to go where the points are. The points are up front. The points are in the midfield. The points aren't defensively. And I don't buy defenders for attacking returns. Yes, I can see some advantage to going with the Dignes, the Alexander Arnolds, even Ben Mendy when he comes back to fitness and starts. But right now, there's no consistency with any of the teams putting up clean sheets. 2, I think, is at the top. There's about 5 teams with 2 clean sheets, and half of them are teams that I don't want. I don't want Villa. I don't want Palace. I can't remember who else had 2 clean sheets. But it's I'm just not happy with who I have now. I mean, Wan-Bissaka doesn't excite me. I have Michael Keane from Everton, and their schedule looks great, but the moment fixtures turn for Everton, I'm off Keane and Zinchenko. I mean, he's healthy, so that most likely means he's going to have to start for City, even when Ben Mendy returns. I don't know where. I don't know, what's going to happen. But I mean, each one of those defenders is 5-5. I picked up Maitland-Niles for my son's team. And, I got lucky with an assist, but, again, I was hoping for the clean sheet against Watford. I mean, that's the only reason I picked Maitland-Niles up was, Arsenal should be able to keep a clean sheet against, my team. But
Arsenal should not be able to keep a clean sheet against their under-23s at this point.
Yeah, no, very true. I mean, they give up 31 shots on goal.
To Watford, this is
I know.
Insanity. Watford had what? 3 or 4 shots versus Everton, and Everton aren't a great defense.
31 shots, 10 on target. I don't think I've seen numbers that big ever. But so defensively, I figure I have at least $1 million, maybe $1.2 million that I could continue to move forward. And I do agree that I don't want to shove $30 million up front and 3 forwards. I mentioned to Casey again, if I move on a forward, if Sebastian Haller does not do anything this weekend, by all means, he could be out next week, and I'll be looking at Callum Wilson back in. I think that's a good idea. I don't see Wilson rising because he's continued to lose ownership, so he'll stay at 7.8. I think I have not 0.8 in the bank right now, so I'll come out still with $500,000 in the bank, and a free transfer if I decide to do it. So
I love that transfer. Well, Wilson's great. I started the season with Wilson.
Why'd you get rid of him?
Pookie.
Okay.
It was, yeah.
I mean, that's an upgrade. It is, and it's less money, and
it was. I mean,
Pookie can't stop scoring.
I didn't get rid of Callum because I wanted to. I believe in the guy. I know but I couldn't ignore Pookie. After week 2, I had to jump on him before that second price rise, and I'm glad I did. But I miss Callum as the FML FPL column, which cracks me up. I like that pick. I think that's totally sustainable.
There's also been a lot of talk of Roberto Firmino. I mean, 9.5. Would you take somebody like a tweener? He's not really a budget forward. He's not a premium forward. Do you buy into what Firmino's doing this year for Liverpool?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. I was this close to getting him on my wild card, and I figured out to go with Aubameyang instead. But Firmino, I absolutely love. I think not to cover Mane and Salah, but I think Firmino may better them in points per million, maybe.
It's close. So back when Mane, so for example, last year when Mane was about the same price as Bobby, the value was with Mane, and so it makes more sense if you're going to double with Salah to double with Salah and Mane than it would have been for Firmino. But all of a sudden, Mane's $2 million more, and Bobby is just as good as he's always been, and he's always been in real life the best fault to ever play the false 9 position, in my opinion, that I've ever seen in the 15, 20 years of watching football that I have. Obviously, there's probably players way back when that were better, but I've never seen anyone, in very recent times that plays that position as well as he does.
He plays it differently than anybody else, too.
He's just so good, and he's so creative.
Smart.
He's going to get assists. He gets so many tackles that every time he gets an assist, he'll get bonus points. And goals as well. I mean, he scores pretty well. I mean, he's not going to keep track with Salah and Mane, but he's going to still get 10 to 15 goals and, 10 to 15 assists.
I think he's going to get 15 to 20 goals this season because of the amount of shots that he's taking, which is more than any other season. And every other season, his XA is actually quite a bit higher. This season, his XA has dropped, and because he's just taking shots. I really think he's going to keep pace enough to validate that points per million. And I think like a Mane Firmino, like Trent Mane Firmino, that's a great triple up. Save a little money, don't go Salah, but cover it with Firmino.
So do you think that do you think that it's time to jump on that right now, or do you want to say wait till like week 13 where they just get an insane run of fixtures after City in week 12? Because four of their next 7 are Chelsea, United, Tottenham, and City. I mean, is it the time to double on their attack, or maybe is it time to maybe just double on their team and not even triple up on their team for maybe just a short period and then get right back on them? Or are they that good that you just say, you know what, I'm going to double on that, or triple up on them in some form, either double attack or double defense, and then just ride them?
Well, obviously they are that good. They can score against anybody, including City. We've already seen the defensive lacking this year on both sides for City and Liverpool. So conceivably, I could see keeping him through this, the difficult run 6 through 12. But I mean, after 12, 13 through 21 look, prime. Not that I really want to spend $9.5 million on a Firmino, as Gabe said. I'd much rather go right to Aubameyang if the fixtures were there. But I think.
Right, Son at that price point.
Just looking at forwards. I'm not looking at mid.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
I'm looking at total attempts. Like you said, he's up there with Aguero. 19 total attempts on goal. 27 penalty touches in the box. 3 goals, 3 big chances, 10 shots inside the box, and 6 big chances all on target. So he's making the most of his opportunities up there, and. You got to figure that he's only being helped out by Salah and Mane and the attention they draw down the sides there of each flank. But
his form is just so good. He's so
Mhm.
he's so confident right now. He looks this good for Brazil as well when
Yeah.
he's gone on international, and he's
I
just
was
been.
there.
Yes, you were. You
I
did.
was there.
You were at the last match. You
In
all,
the
but also
flesh.
in the Copa America, he was absolutely fantastic in Copa
Yeah.
America.
Uh,
He is just an amazing footballer.
He's
And fun.
he's another level striker. And the only reason I don't have him on my team right now is Aubameyang versus not top 6 sides. It's just insane. And then you look at that schedule from now until December, it's all not like it's just I'm gonna drool right now. It's so juicy. It's
it is.
amazing. And I have to, for me, I just seeing that, and then I kept going back to his history, and then going seeing who he has. I couldn't go without Aubameyang. And Aubameyang, Firmino is you have to make a pretty significant sacrifice in midfield to go Aubameyang and Firmino.
One player.
It's tough because he's kind of on an
one player
island.
is either KDB, Salah, or Sterling, and I'm not willing to sacrifice any of those three. Those three are season keepers. A lot of my players I feel like are season keepers at this point. But to go sacrifice one of those three to get Firmino,
I think Aubameyang to Firmino once Arsenal's fixtures cut a run out and the fixture swing, and you get Liverpool's fixtures start to swing towards really, really good then. And yeah. I think that's probably just a transfer you could pencil in sometime in between, week 12 and 14, 15,
totally.
somewhere.
So I'm just playing here. I'm just playing here to try to see if I could fit it in without sacrificing. I would have to sacrifice $1 million at the back. I'd have to sacrifice 2 of my 5/5s to make enough budget to get that.
It's just really tough because you don't really feel like you don't really think you can captain Firmino, and if you're not captaining him, then why not get Tammy or Pookie or Barnes or something like that for 2 to 3 million less?
Well, we're talking,
and that's the tough thing. While Bobby's probably going to outscore Tammy Abraham over the season, well, maybe, but you would think that he probably will, just because we know his capabilities.
Neither of them have much to go on in terms of Premier League experience. I think Tammy's got a couple of games with Swansea, maybe a season.
No, but I meant Bobby.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to captain him, then is he worth spending $2 million more than getting Tammy Abraham in or Ashley Barnes in instead? And for that spot, that's just the tough thing. It's really, really difficult. And unless you're going to drop Liverpool midfielder and say just no Salah. And do Salah to Son and then have Aubameyang and Firmino or something like that. Then it's with that extra money, it just seems very difficult to justify that price point for Bobby Firmino.
Yeah, like you said, the run of fixtures are good. I mean, it would be a nice double up with Firmino and Aubameyang here.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to add one last thing. I would rather have Aubameyang and Firmino than Aubameyang, Tammy, and Haller, for what it's worth.
Okay. There seems to be quite a few options. Neither of you are 3 up front, right? You're both 2. So
I'm
3,
1
5,
up
2,
front.
4, 4. Oh yeah, you're Pookie solo Pookie up front.
But I will be 4-4-2 or 3-5-2 this upcoming week. I'm pretty sure. I just need to get a second forward. I have to have 2 playing forwards to have that flexibility because I'm not going to be moving off Pookie anytime soon. So I have to have 1 spot that I can play with up there.
Sure.
All right.
Pookie is last year's Jimenez, right? The way he's going at the moment, and
except in real life, a better footballer.
Probably, yeah.
I strongly disagree.
Jimenez has always been an absolute donkey. I mean, his whole career has just been very much poor shot accuracy, inability to find goal scoring positions. It's just and I think he's been unlocked by playing 2 up top. And I don't think he's been able to play that very often before. So I think Jota has really been the reason why Jimenez has did well last year. But
Jimenez started doing well even before Jota. Like Jota didn't become a fixture until later on after the season started. So and Jimenez did well even before that. I think actually Pukki has had an equally lackluster career until last year. Similar to Jimenez, but Pukki, like Jimenez, so here's whereas Pukki I think is much more clinical and cunning, in a Vardy-esque kind of way. Jimenez is much more intelligent and manipulative in a Rondon kind of way.
Rondon.
He's back.
He's back.
Yeah, well, Pukki definitely does not have the physical attributes that Jimenez has.
He doesn't even create space like Jimenez does. He exploits space that's already there and sneaks into it, but he doesn't create it himself, which is something Jimenez does. But Jimenez is not as clinical as Pukki.
No, Jimenez has always been. He's kind of like a poor man Salah, where he gets a lot of really good chances, and just by the sheer volume of good chances that he gets some goals. But he's never been very actually good at being, efficient and
sure.
And so if the team is creating lots of chances for him, then he's fine. But that's why he's never really made it in the Mexican team. I mean, very very recently, he's kind of gotten a run, but it's why he's gone through his entire career and never been more than a 9 or 10 goal a season goal scorer, and because he just is not a very good finisher, and so. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's tough. He is very good at bringing other players in to the, I think it's that partnership with Jota that was, he was good at the beginning of the year as well, but
it got better. You're right.
It really was really unlocked by having a strike force partner that kind of takes a lot of attention off of him, so he gets a lot more space. Pukki doesn't get any space. It's really weird how he just he doesn't look like he's open, and all of a sudden he has the ball at his feet, and he's putting it in the back of the net from a weird angle, and you're just like, this is the XG on that is just he's gonna. I think he'll outperform his XG, although I don't think he's gonna outperform it by as much as he is right now.
Pukki played at FC QTP. Did you know that? QTP. Anyway, that's his.
He was at Celtic for a while. I know.
He was 7 goals in 25 games for Celtic in the 13-14 season. But his last 2 years in the Danish Superliga, which honestly I've never watched, but at Brøndby, 20 goals in 34 games in 16-17, and then 17 goals in 17-18 before last year with his 29 goal output.
When you are as unblessed in physical talent, it takes a long time to figure out how to the nous to be able to find that space and be clever. And it almost is just like a veteran. He just, by the time he became a veteran and had that veteran know-how, that's that game, his mm-hmm. physical attributes suit that game finally.
It's the story of my life.
Yeah.
Once I got old, I understood how to play the game, but I lost the physicality to actually.
So we could call you Chicharito then? You just sit in the 6-yard box and you just.
Right. You can call me Cheech for short. I'll grow a beard.
Way to go, Cheech. Excellent. Huh? I wish I could call my teacher Cheech. Dr. Tornado and Cheech here on the FPL Roundtable.
Hey, extremes of stupidity and genius right there in a nutshell. Dr. Tornado and Cheech.
All right, let's turn our attention to the midfield. Big news coming out this week was the injury to Mason Mount. Pretty highly owned. He's been probably one of Chelsea's best players next to Abraham here in the last 3 weeks. But Mount, quite instrumental in what Chelsea has done to date. I've watched him a couple of times. I still think he's exciting. He's skillful, good on the ball. He looks good going forward. Long-term injury does not look like it's going to be a long-term injury. Again, Casey, we talked about this. We're on a hold for the week. I mean, we both have Cantwell. Cantwell can easily step in and replace him for 1 week.
Yeah, I actually start Cantwell just about every. Cantwell and Lundstrom are, I guess, the two players I've been rotating. But I mean, last week was the only time I played Lundstrom. I've played Cantwell every other week, so I guess Lundstrom would be my hold or would be my cover for Mount this week. It's going to be kind of dicey. Hold, but I wasn't expecting much from that position this week anyways, because Mount was playing Liverpool, and so if he's going to miss a match and I get a 1 or 2 pointer from a bench player, I was probably only going to get a 1 or 2 pointer from him. So I'm not too worried about it, and it sounds like he's going to be back in time for not this week but the next week. So yeah, it's not worth wasting a transfer on unless I heard that he was going to be out for a month or more.
Yeah, if there are ligament damage, which it does not sound like there is. So
he's just so good. He creates a lot of chances. He's not as good as Hazard, but for FPL perspective, majority of his shots are on target. He creates a lot of chances. He's on set pieces. That helps. And he wins a lot of balls back in midfield. And so, and bonus points, every time he gets an attacking return, he's going to get a lot of bonus points. So I think, last week at that last minute goal, he went from 2 points to 2 bonus. And so he went from 2 to 9, just like that. And, I think he could have easily had a couple of assists there. He had a couple of really good chances. He had a couple of good goal scoring opportunities where the ball just got deflected out of his path before he had about a tap in, I think once or twice. So he looks fantastic. And he's favored. He's going to be starting. He's, unlike Pulisic and Willian and Pedro, if he's fit, he's playing. And that's
agreed.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on Daniel James, Gabe? 6.2. He's a little bit cheaper than Mount. Is he the real thing, or do we see something change in that United offense with Rashford and Martial coming back?
I don't know if anything in United is, if we know what the real thing for United is yet. Yeah, he has potential. He's shown some good things, but I'm not. I don't know. I've gotten to the point if I'm messing around in the 6 million bracket for midfielders, it just feels like I'm doing something wrong. I feel like that bracket. I think Mount is the only really solid pick there. And given the injury, I'm one of the few that doesn't have Mount. So I'm holding off. I was looking for ways to get him in, to upgrade Dundunker to him, downgrade somebody in defense to get Mount, but I'm holding off, and I'm holding off I'm kind of reticent to invest in that price bracket and midfield in general. I mean, I'm going.
There's no sideways moves that are in any way palatable.
And I mean, you look at the United attack. Would it surprise you if James blanked? I don't think It would surprise anybody if James blanked. I think it would be a mild surprise if Mount blanked, given his consistency and how he's kind of emerging as or at least maybe a shared talisman of that team. But James is not that. James is not the talisman.
Mount looks like a player that can return 2 out of every 3 matches or something like that, pretty consistently. And just by the sheer number of chances he creates on set pieces and number of shots that he takes, James has got a lot of class. You can tell he's a great player, but he shoots 1 or 2 times in a match and he scores a worldie, and you think, well, that's not sustainable. Yeah, so I don't know. I think they're different. I think James is a traditional 6 million midfielder where he's going to return at what you expect a 6 million player to return at, like 1 in 3 or 2 in 5 or something like that. And that's fine. But there's better ways to spend your money than Daniel James, I think.
And especially in midfield. In midfield, if I'm looking around that price point, I'm going Cantwell, McGinn, Mount, kind of those different points. And then if I can't get anything there, I'm probably jumping.
You got to go all the way up to Madison. You have to go.
I would even skip Madison.
Yeah, probably. Richarlison, though, I think
Yeah.
he's
Mm-hmm.
he's
Richarlison's
fine
definitely an
there.
option.
But yeah, then it's Son. It's really slim pickings,
I think
between
Eriksen is an option at 8-8. 8-8 for Eriksen.
maybe when it
He
starts starting.
he started last game. He had a very poor game.
Yes.
But
Let him get some form and give him. I'm not saying I wouldn't. I
think
think
about
he
this season
could be a
without
good
Eric.
player to have. Yes, he could be a very good player to own. But right now, give him some time to start finding form and fitness.
I think he's close. I think he's close to that. At 8-8, if I were looking for something, I can't get up to the Suns of the world or the Pepes. Sun first. The Pepe is a punt a little bit, but if I can't get to Sun, I think Eriksen is great value at 8-8, and he is Eriksen. That's not he will deliver the way he delivers. He'll get his $1.80 or whatever.
And Son is the next topic we're going to talk about here. He's been transferred in by just under 200,000 managers this week. They're away to Leicester. Do we buy in on Son? I mean, he looked better than Kane.
Rested champion. Well, didn't start, but
yeah. I mean, obviously looked better than Kane. Has played better than Kane the last couple of weeks. He's been further forward than Kane.
He is better than Kane. Mm-hmm. In real life, he is a better striker.
He's not just better looking than Kane, Steve.
No.
He actually is better than Kane.
Well, Kane of circa the last 2 years. I mean, Kane, since all the injuries have mounted up, is just a shell of himself.
So yeah. Either of you going
and then
in on Son?
Pochettino's seen it, and that's why he plays Son much further forward than Kane, because Kane just can't. The only way he can get on the ball is to drop deep. He doesn't stretch defenses. He doesn't stretch the lines. The center backs with runs. He just is not capable of doing that, and Son is. And Son presses from the front so well. No, he's just. If you're gonna get an attacker from Spurs, you got to get Son. I mean, Eriksen eventually maybe, but it feels like you're just getting a C option if you're getting Eriksen or Kane versus
Son's
Son. And Son gets minutes now. His problem forever has been he doesn't get minutes. He was, Dele Alli was playing up top a couple of years ago, and whatever. Son's better than all of them. He's a better player than all of them.
So would you move on Son this week after 2 goals in last week and an assist the week before? You like their fixtures enough to go in on Son? Would you move Sterling for him, coming off of 2 blanks?
I would
still think Sterling's better.
No, I still think Son's probably the 4th best midfielder or 5th best midfielder in the game. Sterling, Salah, KDB, Mane, all better, I think. And so, unless you can find a way to get all of them, or sacrifice not having Salah or something, it just doesn't seem.
I love Son. I don't think he's a bad pick. I do think he's a risky pick, though. Spurs are just not right. They had one good game against an abject Palace team. This is the worst Palace has played, and that's saying a lot.
They're third in the league, though.
I know they had they started out defensively shockingly good, similarly to last year actually, where they started well defensively. But I mean, Spurs came out. They played one of their best games of the season when Kane, accepted his role as a D mid or at least an 8, and Son capitalized. But if you listen to the press conferences, you listen to what was said after the Galatasaray game. I think we have to wait until some of these problems are resolved. That's the role of Eriksen, the emergence of Son over Kane as the preferred striker or as the preferred goal scorer there. I think there and Pochettino doesn't look happy. His comments. Kane's comments midweek. Did he say that 5-6 years down the road we're making the same mistakes as we did when we started? Direct shot at Pochettino, so we don't know what the ripple effect of that is going to be. So I'm not really in on Spurs at all yet. That being said, I do think Son is an interesting investment. and I wouldn't fault anybody for going that way.
That's so arrogant by Kane. Like, Spurs wouldn't be in the Champions League at all without Pochettino. Like, it's just whatever. I mean, obviously, if Pochettino's head's not in it and his heart's not in it, then they're all suffering as a result of that. And you can fault him for that, but you can't fault him for the basically building that team.
Mm.
All right. I'm out of topics. I know there's many more topics we have out there.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think it's good. What are you guys thinking of doing this week?
I am planning on rolling. There were thoughts about moving Mount out. I was looking at James. I was looking at Lamela. But, when I have a perfectly healthy Cantwell sitting there, there's no reason I can't start Salah, Sterling, De Bruyne, and Cantwell with Pukki, Allaire, and Abraham up front, and I'm perfectly content with that. And hold the transfer and go into next week and, potentially move Allaire out and bring Aubameyang in to give me Pukki, Aubameyang, and Abraham up front with another, I don't know, it'd probably be a 4-5 or a 4-6 in place of Mount. That's what I'm looking at.
So you don't want to double on Chelsea for that run of fixtures?
Who would you rather have? Would you rather have Mount or Aubameyang? I mean, just not looking at it from a price point, but just a points total. Who would you rather have between those two? I mean, that's.
I'd rather have Mount and Aubameyang than Abraham and Aubameyang. I would if you were going to go single on Chelsea, I would much rather have Mount than Abraham.
I would too.
Mount's nailed. He gets more. He's better on bonus than Tammy has to get 2 goals to get the bonus ahead of Mount getting a single assist.
And Tammy is way, way outperforming his stats.
And he's not. He's probably first choice, but he's not nailed. I mean, they've got 2 other strikers there, and they've got multiple competitions they're playing, and you would expect him to get rotated at least somewhat. And Mount's the golden child right now.
Depending on what happens with price rises too, I'm not too away from honestly looking at Firmino. I mean, right now, if I downgraded one of my 5-5 defenders and made him a 4-5, I keep Mount. That gives me 9.3 in the bank. So, not 2 I can come up with somewhere. So I may easily move to Firmino and give me solid Firmino going forward through. Not that I really want Firmino through that tougher run, because I was honestly looking at moving Salah as well temporarily and bringing another midfielder in for that nasty run. Honestly, I thought about moving Sterling. I mean, non-performer 2 weeks and 2 captain fails. If he fails again this week, I don't know.
I mean, it's hard to say he's lacking confidence because, he hit the post and he could have had a couple of assists. And when he was away with England, he had 5 goals and 5 assists and 2 goals or something.
Yeah, I mean, this is, even early, this is where the patience comes in. Sterling's going to get his goals. Salah's going to get his goals. So shuffling him in and out, only come back a week later and find out that that's going to bite you in the ass because Sterling just hit for a brace with an assist. That's more frustrating than staying on him watching him get a no return 2 or 3 weeks in a row. So I made a point this year that I wanted to keep all of my premiums for all 38 games. So right now, Salah, Sterling, and De Bruyne, I really don't want to plan on moving them. I mean, if I need to, I will. But, we know they will get their points. We know where they will be at the end of the season, up near the top of, the midfielders, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's my thinking. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what transpires in game week 6 and where I want to go out of 7. So
I think they're in a really good position, Stephen. I think having Cantwell to cover Mount for 1 week. Honestly, you could have you could have made the decision to play Cantwell ahead of Mount anyways this week.
Could have,
Chelsea playing, with Chelsea playing Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good place
to bring Cantwell against City. No.
I was close. Pukki was an automatic against City, but it was Cantwell versus Lundstrom.
That's what I had that same call. Made the wrong call.
Most people did.
I had Lundstrom versus Wan-Bissaka. I guess the flag was a false flag because it was just for the international duty. He didn't play for England. what would have been the worst could have happened. I start Wan-Bissaka, he doesn't start, Lundstrom goes in. I would have still had a shot at the 6 points. So
it wasn't a bad decision. They had a clean sheet 65 minutes, and Lundstrom was on maximum bonus.
Right.
And then he got subbed like 3 minutes after the goal was conceded. And you're just thinking, wow, if he would just been subbed 3 minutes before the goal was conceded, he ends with an 8-pointer or something like that. And you're like, that's perfect.
Yeah. You know what? I think it was more De Bruyne missing out last week than Wan-Bissaka and Cantwell getting 6 points each.
Well, the problem with rotation at City is usually they're blowing teams out. So why would you ever bring on KDB? So when he misses out, he just misses all of it, and you're totally okay with it. Same with Sterling, and you think that's fine. I'll get my first bench player, and hopefully they can get me at least 2 points, or or Cantwell can get me a goal or something like that. But the fact that City were so poor, he had to come on and try to save them.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll wait and see. But this week, like I said, I'm just going to throw Cantwell in there for Mount and roll out a starting 11 that I'm pretty happy with. Hopefully, Haller comes through and get some love in the back there. Or else I'll start realistically looking at moving Wan-Bissaka, Keane, or Zinchenko, and maybe even upgraded goalkeeper. I don't know. Are
you rolling two? Okay.
One thing I know I'm not doing is bringing in Vestergaard. I'll tell you that right now.
I love Vestergaard conversations.
Just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get the 5.1 million Southampton center back. That's not named Virgil van Dijk.
What other cons can we have for this player?
Casey, what are you doing this week?
Oh, that's the big thing. I'm downgrading a defender to somebody. Some defender is getting downgraded to some other defender, and then I'm bringing in either Tammy or Callum. So that's kind of the choice I have to make between Mount
or Callum.
So I have Mount. I'm just holding him, putting him on the bench.
For the upcoming run, I would have to go Tammy. I mean, just looks too good. I mean, I want
so too.
I want Wilson as bad as you do, but even though they play Liverpool this week,
the only I think I would rank. I think I would rank for value the forwards Pookie, then Tammy, then Callum, or maybe Aguero, maybe third.
Don't forget about the 5.9 Danny Welbeck.
Oh yeah, I expect him to at least brace versus this abject City team this week. I count on it because I'm starting.
You're right.
No, the tougher thing I'm having is, do I downgrade Dean or Robertson? And so, if I downgraded Dean, it would probably be to like a 4.5 million kind of first bench or some sort of defender that
ahead of Sheffield. Can you?
But that's the problem. But long term, I'd rather have Robertson than Dean.
But how long term? Not long term for the next 5.
Probably not
long term after the next 5.
Yeah, so maybe wild card you bring him back in.
I think I would. Exactly. I think I would move off of Robertson and keep.
But I have I only think I only need about 0.6 to get to Tammy, because I already have a lot in the bank, and so it's not enough that I can just go down to VVD, which is unfortunate. I would need
you get the 4.6 Tyrone Mings. He's like VVD. No,
he is like VVD.
Yeah,
I like Mings.
I do too as a real life player, and I think they're going to keep it. I think he's decent value. I think the other center back is fine too for
Engels.
Yeah, Engels, and so I think either of them is fine. But I could get a 5-5 defender as well, and keep the option of playing like a 4-4-2, 4-5-1, 3-5-2. Sort of like
just to keep your options open for formation.
I would have a lot of flexibility if I went to a 5-5 defender, but I'm really struggling on whether I should get like I don't want to really want a United defender, but their fixtures are mixed, so they're okay. Do I trust getting a Spurs defender because their fixture run is kind of insane? And they have okay priced players. I mean, I could get like
Aurier 4.9.
Aurier, he's going to get rotated, but
Don't do
if he's basically your 12th man that you're only playing sometimes, then you automatically have a really strong first sub. So when he doesn't, as long as he's not coming off the 1-pointers, that's the problem.
How much do you have in the bank?
1.6, I think.
Could you do Robertson to Rico and Wickham to Firmino?
A Bournemouth defender?
He's your 5th defender. You have
Okay.
three. You have 3 premiums starting.
I'm pretty sure I looked at this earlier. I can get to Vardy, but I don't think I can get to Bobby. So
Bobby.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be really fun.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think I can get there. So.
Oh, speaking of names, Gabe, would you like to pronounce the Leicester defensive defender's name as written on Twitter?
So are we going into our pronounce-a-thon?
Our pronounce-a-thon? Yeah. I just saw that tweet from you, and I'm sitting there trying to voice it out and say, this sounds stupid.
I have the exact money to get Vardy in with that transfer, but I definitely could not get up to Bobby.
Yeah, we're not talking about FPL anymore, Casey.
Oh, sorry. So wait, what was this? What name is this?
Was it Soyuncu?
Oh, Soyuncu? Yeah.
So it's Chalar Soyuncu. Chalar Soyuncu.
I'm waiting for the Hispanic flair to come out your mouth.
Yeah, but it's not.
Soyuncu.
It's Turkish.
It's like
Soyuncu.
It's like Cenk. Like Jake Tosin, it's CENK, and you're like, no, it's the C is a G. Don't
the C is a J.
A J, yeah.
C, which is why it's like just the regular C is a J, which is why the end of it is Soyunju, and then the U with the 2 lines is a U as in cute.
Yep.
So it's Ju, so it's Suryunju.
Or when you're American, it's Soyuncu.
Soy sauce.
I think I can get the J right. I'm not sure if I can get the rest of it. Soyuncu.
Just Soyuncu.
All right, Gabe, take us home. What are you doing this week?
What am I doing? I'll find another name to pronounce this week. Wait, where's my team? That's Casey's team. There we go. I'm not doing anything this week. I'm sitting tight, rolling my transfer quite comfortably. Captaining Aubameyang. I do have the vice on Sterling. I may change that to Salah. I like that. I like that matchup, but it being away at Stamford Bridge, probably keep it on Sterling. It won't matter anyway. Aubameyang will be my captain. For the first time this year, I will captain somebody other than Salah or Sterling. So we'll see how that goes. I went through that FPL tools, that very cruel tool that he has, where determines your points if you just would have stepped aside and not touched your team. I'm currently sitting
don't do that to yourself.
I know, but actually, when I first saw it, it made me sick. I almost threw up, and then I thought about it a little more, and it actually made me feel good. So I would have 316 points if I would not have changed my team all season thus far. I currently have 293. So it's a difference of 23 points, which actually isn't that much. And I think if I'm really happy with my team now, much happier now than my team before. I think I'm better set up moving forward. And I think if I would have just had my team now, well, I wouldn't have been able to afford it, first of all. But I think it all comes down to that captain pick. I am in the camp that we should eliminate captaincy picks. It adds too much randomness and luck to the game. I mean, I'm all for entropy, but I think we have enough unpredictability with the game as it is. But I look at my team. I'm happy with it. I have 4. KDB. If KDB is a premium, then I have 4 premiums. My one concern this week is I'm starting Hanley, which is a Norwich defender.
Yeah, but is he fit?
He is fit. He's fit now. He played a full 90 and got he's gotten actually not mixed results, pretty poor results across the board. But I just see Norwich kind of coming together a little bit in terms of spirit, and there could be something defensively there. My alternative would be either Dundonker away to Palace or Lundstrom away to the Toffees.
All right, sorry to interrupt. Where is this tool on Premier Fantasy Tools?
No, it's not Premier.
Oh.
It's FPL Tools. If you go to @FPL Tools, there's a link there on his Twitter page. This is different from Premier Fantasy Tools. And if you go there, and he or she, I don't know, describes it as a cruel tool.
There it is.
A cruel thing to do. Yeah, the what if machine. It's brutal. But the one thing that I'm heartened by is, you know what, I did my research this summer, and it's kind of validating that I picked a strong team. Not so validating that I tore it up and then made it worse, but
all right, it's good to know that I have 6 more points with the changes I've made.
There you
go. You're an actual manager. I'm Javi Gracia.
It says good job picking your captains. I've had two captains out of 5 weeks. Anyway. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Captaining Aubameyang. And looking forward to a double transfer next week, although I have no idea what I don't feel a need to change anything really. So how about you, Steven?
Nope, no changes. I'll roll into next week with 2 free transfers and make the decision what I want to do up front.
So we're all out of sync. Last week we had 2 wild carders. I was rolling through the international break. Now I have 2 transfers. I got to use them, and you guys are both rolling.
Yeah.
I was looking, but nothing I do this week is going to help me. I can't say my team would be better with Lamela or James in it. Hey,
what
good
you
to know.
can say that we can't say is your team is better with you. My team is not better with me. That's a difference, I think.
Yeah, it's been an odd year to start. That's for sure. That's definitely for sure. I'm
33
sure.
game weeks to go. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think things will turn around.
Especially if we don't panic. I think the people panicking might struggle, but people like taking hits and all that kind of stuff, like wild,
Yeah,
chasing.
I mean, there was one of the articles that FPL Chef wrote. It was if your team's not doing anything now, you can't sit back and wait for something to happen. You got to take control and do something. I mean, that's like if I would have sat here like I did with my other team and continued to run out 3 Liverpool defenders when Liverpool isn't keeping clean sheets. Why tie all that budget up in the defense when I know I could move it to the midfield or move it to the forwards and potentially get more points than watching my defenders struggle week in, week out. So, I've sort of subscribed to that this year, but again, I'm staying patient.
Yeah, but within reason, you're making those changes with intent, but you're also not taking a -8 every week to bring in who just braced or something like that.
No, I'm definitely not chasing the points. I mean, I've been lucky that I've got the points. I'm not chasing the Pookies or the Abrahams right now, which, I think those are 2 of the top players coming. Abraham, Pookie, Cantwell, Mount. I mean, there's your top 4 right there. Aguero, no, too expensive. But anyway, I've been lucky because the top transfers are already on my team. I'm getting the not 1, not 2 rises weekly from those players. So I'm happy. I'm happy.
We're all happy.
Yeah, I'm gonna be really happy if I do those moves I just sent you guys. Triple City attack versus Watford.
And maybe Watford will come out and redeem themselves and throw up a cleanie against Man City.
Or maybe Man City will be angry about last week.
That's what I'm afraid of.
In the FA Cup final.
And that is exactly what I'm afraid of. Is they're going to come out pissed off and they're going to take every opportunity, and it's going to be a replay of the FA Cup final.
Is it home? Is it home for? Is it at?
It's at the Etihad. Yeah. I know.
And Aguero
hat-trick for Bilba.
And Aguero was rested midweek. Man, maybe I just bring in Aguero this week and wildcard next week.
Hat-trick for Bilba, brace for Otamendi. Calling it.
Oh, we know who has Otamendi in their defense.
Me.
All right, any last comments from either one of you guys?
don't delete this pod by canceling or by
I
leaving.
won't delete it. I will stop the recording and then drop the call. I've learned. So, okay, well, that's going to do it today for us here on the FPL Roundtable. Hopefully, we'll get FPL Shark to take a bite out of the FPL next weekend, as hopefully he can join us here. But on behalf of Gabe and Casey, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week. Good luck in Game Week 6.
Good luck. Bye, everyone.
You guys.